to reptiles. Zoom out a little bit here. Reptiles. We have a picture of some snakes here. Okay. All right, reptiles. Oh, there we go. Reptiles include turtles, snakes, lizards, and alligators. All reptiles have lungs to breathe with and skin that does not need to stay wet. I need to take a quick. Thank you. They produce eggs with a leathery shell. It protects the offspring inside from dying out. So offspring is another word for babies. Okay. All right. So let's look at our picture. The paragraph described that snakes and other reptiles, they have lungs like people and to breathe. That's how they get their oxygen. Okay. Their skin is really leathery and it doesn't need to stay wet. Okay. Looking at our other picture down here, and it's blurry again. I'm sorry about the blur. There we go. All right. And our paragraph also described how snakes hatch from eggs. Also, similar to chickens, right? Chickens, that's one animal that comes to mind for me, that they hatch from eggs. So here's a really neat picture of a little baby snake sticking its head out. All right. Reptiles are ectothermic or cold-blooded. All right, here we go. Similar to our fish, cold-blooded. Some reptiles use the sun's energy to keep them warm. Their bodies are covered in hard scales. The scales help keep their bodies from dying out. Most turtles spend their lives on land and in the water. Most turtles have flippers instead of legs to propel or move them through the water. And the light is kind of, I'm going to try to dim it a little bit here using my thumb. But there's a picture of an alligator. How many of you have seen alligators, especially here in Florida? And I keep feeling like I'm actually seeing you all right now, and I know I'm asking questions that I normally would if you were all with me in class. So bear with me there. I really miss everyone, and it's tough not being able to have those discussions right now. But what I want you to do is I want you to think about a time when you've seen these animals, okay? When have you seen an alligator or a turtle? And I'm going to just go to the picture right now of our turtle. Okay, what about a snake? A lot of these animals, just like the fish, our last type of vertebrae that we talked about, you can go to the aquarium and see, or you can see them maybe when you're out on a walk, okay? Or you're on a nature preserve and they have these animals. Busch Gardens even has a lot of these animals too. So as we talk about all these different types of animals, I want you to think about a time when you've gotten to go and actually see these animals and what you've observed about their characteristics and things like that, okay? All right, moving right along. Reptile traits. They have lungs. People have lungs. Fish do not have lungs. Skin doesn't need to be wet. Leathery shelled eggs. Ectothermic or cold-blooded. Remember, it's that temperature, internal temperature changes based on their surrounding environment. And hard scales, okay? Usually when I think of hard scales, I think of snakes a lot of the time, okay? All right. Moving right along. I know we're covering a lot. Bear with me here. And our last one is amphibians, okay? This one should be a little bit of actually a lot of these we did go over, so I'm hoping this is mainly a review for all of us, okay? All right, amphibians live both in water and on land. Amphibians start life with gills like fish and later develop lungs to breathe air, okay? So first amphibians have those gills, which are those little slats on their right below their eyes, and that's how they breathe. But later on in life, as they age and mature, they actually develop lungs to breathe with instead of the gills. Amphibians reproduce by laying eggs in water. This keeps the eggs moist or wet until the animals hatch. Amphibians are born with tails. Baby frogs are called tadpoles. Frogs lose their tails as they grow. Think about the life cycle of a frog. And remember, maybe in a different class, or maybe a time in your throughout the years in your schooling, I know a lot of you are very familiar with the life cycle of a frog and how frogs have that little tail. Or actually, they're not frogs, tadpoles. And then as they age, that tail eventually it goes away. Okay, let's look at some of these images here on the bottom. Here's a picture of the eggs that mother frogs lay in water. They look pretty interesting, huh? And then here's a picture of a tadpole, just what I was describing just a few seconds ago. Here's that tail that eventually goes away as the tadpole turns into a frog, okay? All right, next page, last page. After amphibians develop lungs, they can live on land. Amphibians can get oxygen through their lungs or skin. Their skin needs to stay moist, so they always live near water, okay? Again, I want you to think of a time when you've seen a frog. You've probably seen a frog that's not too far away from some sort of body of water, okay? All right, our amphibian traits. It's right on the light. There we go. Born from eggs and water. Live on land as adults. Cold-blooded, and skin stays moist, okay? All right. So the three types of vertebrates that we discussed today includes fish, reptiles, and amphibians. Okay, I know that this was a pretty lengthy lesson. We covered a lot of material today. I really wanted to push through and finish going over just an overview of the different types of vertebrates, our 5 types, and then we can continue on next week with what we need to. I know it was a lot. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is make my own. I think I'm just going to get rid of that completely. I'm just going to get rid of that completely. All right, and all right, and that's all I have for you all today, going over the remaining 3 types of vertebrates. I know that I covered a lot of material today for the week ahead. I want just to go over very quickly the assignments for this week and what that's going to look like. I'm going to be assigning a similar format of the worksheets from last week. However, all the worksheets, the workload is going to be cut in half. So I'm only asking a few questions based on each type of vertebrate that I discussed in this lesson. So even though we covered a little bit more than last week, the workload certainly is not going to be more. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know. You know how to reach me. I'm a phone call away, text, ask questions in the questions channel in Microsoft Teams, okay? And I did want to take a moment to really let you all know that I truly miss all of you. I miss being able to teach in our classroom and being able to just have class together and have our classroom discussions and to learn together. So I really hope everyone is being safe and staying well, so we can get back to our classroom. Okay. But anyways, that's all I have for today. I'm also going to be posting a few other resources that could be helpful. I didn't want to include that in the video today because it's a little bit too much, but I am going to include it in the class materials, and I'm going to shoot that in an email with everything else, just like I did last week. Okay. I miss you all so much, and I will talk to everyone soon. Bye.